So why do I think it's going to get worse before it gets better? Because of the message that was sent by Warren Buffett in this past weekend's meeting. I hope you watched at least some of the 7 hours that CNBC broadcast. And then I see this headline where the oil companies have about 150 billion amongst them that they're holding on the sidelines. And Darren Woods, who is the CEO of Exxon, has the biggest chunk of that. Why are they holding this cash? Why are they not investing it back in their business? Well, I think Warren told you why. He wants you to give him a call. If you're a third generation company and you're getting fed up with what's going on, and you have a $10 billion company that's a good business, but you're just getting tired of doing what you're doing, give Warren a call. Give ExxonMoble a call. They've got cash and they know what's coming. It's going to get worse before it's going to get better, and they want some dry powder on the sidelines. I think that's what you and I need to do as well. Take the lead from Warren and Darren, and let's get ready for it's going to get worse before it gets better. So why do I think it's going to get worse before it gets better? Because of the message that was sent by Warren Buffett in this past weekend's meeting. I hope you watched at least some of the 7 hours that CNBC broadcast. And then I see this headline where the oil companies have about 150 billion amongst them that they're holding on the sidelines. And Darren Woods, who is the CEO of Exxon, has the biggest chunk of that. Why are they holding this cash? Why are they not investing it back in their business? Well, I think Warren told you why. He wants you to give him a call. If you're a third generation company and you're getting fed up with what's going on, and you have a $10 billion company that's a good business, but you're just getting tired of doing what you're doing, give Warren a call. Give ExxonMoble a call. They've got cash and they know what's coming. It's going to get worse before it's going to get better, and they want some dry powder on the sidelines. I think that's what you and I need to do as well. Take the lead from Warren and Darren, and let's get ready for it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
So how do we make sense of this? Well, I think I would say that if you haven't watched the 7-hour course that Warren and Charlie put on about investing over this past weekend, go to CNBC and find it and allocate the time and watch it. If you will pay attention, you will learn so much. Let me give you some highlights. He goes into some detail of their purchase of Pilot. Here in the South, I know Pilot. I know Flying J. They are very nice gas stations, truck stops that usually have a restaurant associated, some clean bathrooms, and that's where I like to buy my gas because also they have competitive prices. Well, this is a successful business. It has been a successful business, but for some reason, which I don't know, the owners of the business, which was two families, decided they wanted to sell it, and they wanted $8.2 billion for it. Maybe it was a third generation, a second generation. The kids didn't want any part of it, and they could make do with $8.2 billion. And so they took it. They actually maintained 20% ownership, and Berkshire Hathaway took the other 80%. Are there other businesses in this world that fall into that same category? Well, right within a couple of months, Warren went and spent $37.2 billion on Allegheny Insurance. Again, I don't know the family structure. I don't know the business structure. But what I want to illustrate is there are companies out there that are very successful, and for one reason or another, they want out of the business. Now, you can't go to a bank and say, hey, we'd like 37.2 billion dollars for our business. Would you buy it? There just aren't many people you can call. Even the oil companies, as you saw, they don't have that kind of money. Warren does. Warren, in that 7 hours, I don't know how many times, made mention that he had about $126 billion sitting on the sidelines. In his meeting that we saw when he went to China, he stumbled out and said, we collect about $100 million every working day of the year from the royalties or from the earnings from our 60-some businesses and the dividends from our 50-some stocks. So he has a flow of money and he needs to allocate it. And the fact is, he has not allocated $126 billion. And the oil companies have not allocated $150 billion. Why? Why? The answer is they think there will be better opportunities in the future. What might those opportunities look like? Well, if the banks aren't lending money, and if interest rates continue to go up, and real estate loans go up, and commercial loans go up in cost, you're going to put a lot of well-managed and successful companies between a rock and a hard place because their debt service, the amount that they have to pay on interest on the money that they bought, is going up. It will double in many cases. Then you have, as I said, this second, third, fourth generation of ownership of successful companies who just say, hey, today is a good time to sell because there's people like the oil companies and Warren Buffett, and I don't know how many other, although Warren said there aren't many people you can call to raise $37.2 billion for an insurance company. And if you listen to the presentation, they're very interested in more insurance companies. They're interested in companies that generate positive cash flow. Why can't you sometimes generate positive cash flow? Because you have a high cost of debt. Well, if Warren comes in and wipes that debt out because he's got cash, that company becomes all that more profitable. Again, watch. Warren is a tremendous salesman. Can you imagine the negotiations that he had with CNBC to say, okay, follow us over to Japan as we buy 10% or 9.5% of these 5 Japanese companies, and let me explain it to the world. And he's not selling you. He is not trying to get you to buy Berkshire Hathaway stock. He is selling that third-generation company who's getting tired of running the business and wants to cash out. That's who he's talking to. That's who he talked to in Japan. That's who he talked to for 7 hours this past weekend. He wants the world to know. I mean, he was blatant about it. He said, there aren't many people that you can call and you can get an answer from. He even said when the guy who runs his insurance division, who called him and said he wanted to buy Allegheny and he wanted to make further investments in the Florida coast this year to buy property and casualty insurance, he said, Warren gave me an answer within 2 minutes. Okay? That's how anxious they are. So, again, you have to ask yourself, why? Because it's going to get worse before it gets better. So what do you do as an investor? Well, one of the things I think you ought to do is take a good hard look at how Berkshire Hathaway is structured. I've done about 4 videos, maybe 5, over the last 3 weeks that I've dug deep into. Go find those videos and teach yourself what Berkshire Hathaway is all about. Then the other thing I want you to know, you're probably not in a position to lay out $8.2 billion for Pilot, and you're probably not in a position to lay out $37.2 billion for Allegheny Insurance. But what you probably are able to do is to go through your portfolio and find the stocks that you've maybe made a little bit on, made some money on, and liquidate them. Put that money on the sideline, and like Warren and like ExxonMoble and Chevron and Valero, put that money on the sideline because it's going to get worse before it gets better. How much worse and how long will it happen? I don't know. And if, again, you'll watch the Berkshire Hathaway, Warren will say exactly that. We don't know what's going to happen next week. We don't know what's going to happen next year. But what we do know is if we buy good companies, if we are smart, intelligent investors, we will do fine. And we don't pay attention to what's happening on the short term because we are long-term investors. I have learned so much from probably I've got 9 hours invested in Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, and Charlie Munger. And then I read the Wall Street Journal. And when I see headlines that says the oil companies have $150 billion worth of cash sitting on the sidelines, they are not drilling wells. They think there's a better opportunity. What does that mean? They're going to look for the drillers, maybe some of the valve makers that are going to raise their hand and say, I've had enough. I want out. And they're going to buy other companies just like Berkshire Hathaway does, just like you should. If you are an astute young investor, not like me, I'm a little bit too old, you should be putting some money on the sideline and watching real estate. Real estate prices are going to come down, and you're going to have an opportunity to take your cash on the sideline and maybe buy some rental property that you could not have bought 2 years ago or even 6 months ago. Put some money on the sideline and be prepared to buy good companies or good real estate or good companies in your community. This is going to be a buying opportunity, and all you have to do to recognize it is listen to what Warren said and then pick up the Wall Street Journal and read the article about the oil companies with $150 billion in cash waiting for an investment opportunity. That's what you should do. Go through your portfolio, get rid of those things that maybe you made a little on and you just don't see them as the opportunity you thought they were 6 months ago. It's going to get worse before it gets better. Mark that, put it write it on your mirror. So when you get up in the morning, you look at it, maybe it won't cheer you up, but it's going to get worse before it gets better. The signal is there. It has been given to you by the big oil companies and Berkshire Hathaway. Now listen to it, understand it, and then figure out, and I've told you, read this book. You can get a free copy of it from Audible if you're not a member of it. It's in the links below. And understand the Genesis machine, our quest to rewrite life in the age of synthetic biology, and then come to understand artificial intelligence. These are the things that are going to change your world. That's where you have investment opportunity. Gather some cash and be a buyer in the coming months, years. Follow the lead of the smartest people in the investment world. I'll talk to you about this more, I'm sure.